Good morning, Magic players! Today on this episode we have an exciting clash of crazy combos. Before we begin, however, be sure to check out our Patreon, with new benefits such as access to our Discord, as well as being able to watch new videos 2 days early. Link is in the description below, as well as links to the channels of the artists who make the background music. Today we have a new contestant to the arena. A Lynx with a wizard hat and staff arrives to the arena. Not kidding, it's literally a Lynx wearing a hat. Kinda cute. Oh, it has a deck? Alright. I mean, what do you expect in the Vortex? The Lynx brings Mayael the Anima to the ring, keeping Faebro Elder, Heliod's Intervention, Storm's Wrath, Jungle's Shrine, Naya Panorama, a Mountain, and a Plains. Rishik brings the Haunt of Hightower, keeping a Sangromancer, Grey Merchant of Asphodel, Demonic Tutor, Soul Ring, Jet Medallion, Temple of the False God, and a Swamp. Kudzwi steps up with Radha, Heart of Keld. The plant guy has kept Zendikar's Royal, Crucible of Worlds, Nykthos Shrine to Nyx, Mossfire Valley, Prismatic Vista, a Forest, and a Mountain. Arkham Iconis returns for a commander game with his favorite, Gargos, Vicious Watcher. He's kept God Eternal Ronus, Colonian Hydra, Karn's Bastion, and 4 forests. Man, that was a lot easier to say. Rishik starts this game off. Rishik plays a Swamp, then a turn 1 Soul Ring, followed by a Jet Medallion. Already well set up, she passes to the Lynx, who is chasing a butterfly. The Lynx comes back to focus, playing a Jungle Shrine tapped. It then goes back to chasing the butterfly. Arkham plays a Forest. He's going to be doing that for a while. Kudzwi plays a Prismatic Vista, cracking it and losing 1 to grab a Forest. He passes back to Rishik. Rishik plays a Temple of the False Gods. With a useless land and mana reduction from her medallion, she casts a Demonic Tutor, grabbing a card. She passes. The Lynx also plays a Forest. Arkham plays a Forest again. Kudzwi plays a Mossfire Valley. He shifts the turn back to Rishik. Rishik starts off with a Dark Ritual. She has enough mana to then cast her commander, the Haunt of Hightower. She ends her turn with a threat on board. The Lynx yawns, then falls asleep. The ref calls in Slash to take its place for now. She plays a Mountain, then a Faebro Elder. Slash passes, then tries to wake up the Lynx. Arkham plays a Forest to the chorus of hissing coming from the Lynx. It's awake now and not amused. Kudzwi plays a Forest as well, then a Soul Ring, followed by a Crucible of Worlds. He passes. Rishik drops a Swamp, a land that actually does something, then a Magus of the Coffers. She swings her commander at Kudzwi for the crime of existing. On attack, he discards a card, giving the Haunt a +1/+1 counter. The Haunt connects, dealing 4 commander damage and giving Rishik 4 life. She ends the turn, passing to the very angry Lynx. The angry Lynx drops a Plains and passes. Arkham does his thing, playing a Forest and passing. Kudzwi plays a Zendikar's Royal, then plays a Prismatic Vista from his graveyard, with Crucible of Worlds. He makes a 2/2 with Zendikar's Royal. He then cracks it, losing a life and giving Haunt of Hightower a counter. Kudzwi grabs a Mountain, making another 2/2. He passes. To start off the turn, Rishik continues to only aggro down Kudzwi, casting an Unmask on him. She chooses to discard Courser of Kruphix, buffing Haunt of Hightower again. Haunt then goes at Kudzwi again, causing him to discard and buff Haunt again. Kudzwi takes 7 damage and Rishik gains 7 life. She passes to the Lynx. The Snep gains a life with Kazandu Refuge, then plays his commander, Mayael the Anima. With his commander on board, the Lynx purrs and ends the turn. Arkham plays a Forest, then actually does something, playing a Colonian Hydra. He ends his turn. Kudzwi realizes that he's in a 1v1 currently, expecting 0 help from the other players and dealing with an increasing threat. He replays Prismatic Vista again, trying to thin his deck and start a board presence. He makes a 2/2, then loses a life from his Vista to grab a Mountain. He makes another 2/2. He plays Talisman of Impulse, then his commander, Radha, Heart of Keld. Kudzwi passes back to Rishik, bracing for the incoming damage. All Rishik does on her turn is continue to go after Kudzwi, attacking him and causing him to discard a card. Kudzwi takes 9 and Rishik gains 9. All done, she passes. The Lynx plays a Plains, then with a wave of its tiny staff, it activates Mayael's ability, looking at the top 5 cards and putting a Woolly Thoktar into play. Now with the board developing, the Lynx passes. Arkham plays a Forest, then summons the big Hydra himself, Gargos. He decides not to swing and instead passes. Still unsure he's going to make it the next turn from Rishik's undeserved fury, Kudzwi plays a Forest, making a 2/2. He then activates Radha's ability, buffing her by 6/6. He swings all out, trying to stop the rising threat that no one seems to be seeing. he manages to sneak in 17 damage with all of his creatures. Kudsby then passes. Rishik plays out Words of Waste, then knocks out Kudsby with a massive haunt. Kudsby takes over 21 commander damage from the haunt, so he is dead. Rishik gains 10 from this attack. She then sets her sight on the other two players, who are only now realizing the threat. The Lynx activates Mayael again, fetching a Woodland Bellower off the top. It uses the Bellower to grab a Managorger Hydra, giving me flashbacks to last season's finale. Arkham casts Explosive Vegetation, fetching 2 forests into play tapped. Haunt and the Managorger both get counters. Arkham then casts Feral Hydra, with X being 5. Managorger gets another counter and Arkham passes. Rishik amps up the threat by casting Mind Twist, with X being 4. She targets the Sleepy Lynx, causing it to discard 4 cards at random. Haunt of Hightower gets 4 counters and the Managorger gets 1 counter. The Haunt then heads to the Lynx, causing it to discard another card. The Snep takes a whopping 16 and Rishik gains 16, passing afterwards. The Lynx plays out Grasslands tapped. Its eyes begin to glow and it casts a Cleansing Nova, wiping away the board. It ends the turn. Arkham drops a Rogue's Passage, then recasts Gargos. Rishik plays a Swamp, then casts Reanimate, targeting Woodland Bellower in Lynx's yard. She loses 6 life, oh no, and brings it back, fetching Hypnotic Spectre from her library. It enters play and she passes. The Lynx cracks its Grasslands, fetching a Cinderglade from it. It then plays Spearbreaker Behemoth and passes. Arkham plays Karm's Bastion, then a Domesticated Hydra, followed by a Nyxbloom Ancient. With his big threats on board, Arkham sets up for an explosive next turn. Rishik plays a Swamp, then hard casts Villas, Broker of Blood. She smacks Arkham for 2 with Hippie, causing him to discard a card at random. The Lynx casts Xenagos, God of Revels. I honestly think Xenagos makes an appearance in every video at this point, but Naturalize has yet to be cast. Interesting thought. Anyway, the Lynx moves to combat, buffing his Behemoth with Xenagos. It goes at Rishik, dealing 10 damage. Villas triggers, and Rishik draws 10 cards. The Lynx ends its turn. Arkham, with his tripled mana, plays an Uvenwald Hydra, putting a basic forest into play. He casts Shared Summons, grabbing Hydra Broodmaster and Lifeblood Hydra and putting them into his hand. He then casts both of them, with X being 7 for the Lifeblood. He then plays God Eternal Ronus, pumping his board by a ton. The combat here is a bit funky, but Arkham swings some of his creatures at each player. The Lynx took 10 and Rishik took 6, drawing 6 off Villas. All done, Arkham passes. Rishik plays a Swamp, then Exquisite Blood. She then taps for that good old 5 mana to play a Grey Merchant of Asphodel. Each opponent loses 10 life and Rishik gains a whopping 40 life, 20 from Gary and 20 from the Explosive Blood. With head hell as high as your life total, Rishik passes. Surely she can't lose at this point, there's no way. Since its life is so low, the Lynx plays an Elder Scale Worm, setting its life total to 7. A buffed Spearbreaker then heads at Rishik, dealing 10 damage and drawing Rishik 10 cards. The Lynx then passes turn. Arkham starts off his turn with Nylia, God of the Hunt. With tripled mana, he uses her ability to pump an insane amount of mana into it, buffing his boys to a very high power and toughness. He then swings all out at both players. Normally the Lynx would survive this, but Rishik spitefully casts Slaughter Pact on Elderscale Worm, killing it. Arkham is then able to knock out the Lynx through combat, and deals just so much damage to Rishik that Villas causes her to draw out and leave just Arkham to win the game. A great game that perfectly displays how swingy Commander can be, and how great effects can sometimes backfire. I do hope you all tune in for more exciting games and random Lynxes next time on The Vortex.